No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Pow day.
Dude, let's go.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
And how we doing? Happy Monday. Welcome on in. Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com. This is a Blue and Orange Store Monday edition, so get on out to the Blue and Orange Store right there at the Boise Town Square Mall. Get all your Boise State gear. That clearance rack in the front of the store is the best value in town. You can also order online. The blueandorange.com. As always, we're presented by our title sponsor, Andy Rowe and rowpaint.com. All those painting needs, hit up rowpaint.com, and that's where you'll find our man Mike Prater in downtown Boise, the rowpaint.com studios. We appreciate Mike Prater, KTIK 95.3, The Ticket. Perfect guy on a Monday. We got playoff hockey to talk about. We got the spring game. We got Ashton Jeanty. I just hope you weren't on the under 5.5 or the Vegas -1.5 last night, Mike Prater.
I was not on the Vegas -1.5, but just glad that they pulled off the victory. And holy cow, what a cool collection or crazy collision of seasons. So hockey playoffs, NBA playoffs. Ashton Jeanty, he's a playoff machine in his own right. And then obviously we're going to break down Saturday's spring game. So good to be with you on a Monday, BJ.
There was 0.1 seconds left when that goal scored. And I somehow, it was a rare moment where I had control of the remote. My wife was actually still watching, and we had flipped on the last couple of minutes of that game. By the way, Minnesota, it's like they've never pulled their goalie before. That was atrocious, trying to get the goalie off the ice a couple of times there. But they score with 0.1 second left, if nobody saw, and they're reviewing it. My wife's like, why are they reviewing it? Who cares? They won the game. I'm like, well, there's millions of dollars at stake here if they count that, because sure enough, the over-under was 5.5, and that made it 6. And then if you had the 1.5 for either Minnesota or Vegas, I mean, with literally 0.1 second left, and the referees deciding that goal counts changed millions of dollars. But Vegas goes up 1-0. I think the home teams went 5-0. Is that, or I guess 3-0 yesterday. I guess Avalanche won in Dallas. But my Blues suffered a tough one. Had the lead going to the third period. Mike Prater couldn't pull it out, but kind of a huge game tonight. 5:30, I think, in Boise for my Blues. So I got the Blues head on today. I'm trying, but that was a rough finish for my Blues. So luckily we got plenty of football and other stuff to talk about today.
We definitely got plenty of football. The hockey will go on for a couple more months. That's kind of crazy. But, yeah, we got plenty of football to talk about. Pro football, college football, and all kinds of football. So let's get after it today.
Spring game in the books for I don't even know who won, defense or offense. I don't know if it matters or who cares, but we had a weird scoring system, but we saw we saw some things offensively, defensively. You guys had a post-game show there on KTIK. We had a chance to talk to Spencer Danielson. I've cut up a couple clips that I want to play on that as well. Talking running backs, talking backup quarterbacks, talking Jake Ripp, going back to inside linebacker. Overall, Mike Prater, the spring game on Saturday, what kind of were your biggest takeaways before we dive into some of the individual things here?
Yeah, I got a more broad appeal just looking at spring camp and the spring game, and they came out for the most part injury-free. And this football team is fairly healthy going into the summer. That's always obviously mission number one every time you go through one of these deals. You always hear of a freak ACL or freak this, and it just didn't happen. They're still trying to get a lot of people right in terms of the health, and we'll figure that out and kind of focus on that more in the fall. But I thought it was a pretty good spring camp. They got some position stuff. They got a solidified 2 or 3 or 4 different players, kind of got some traction in terms of the position. I know Jake Ripp is one of them, and we're certainly going to talk about other positions. The running back position with Malik Sherrod gives us a little bit of a security blanket when Sire Gaines is giving us a lot of anxiety right now. So I thought it was a good spring game. I thought it was decent. We got some news out of it. We can talk about the quarterback too. That's a big deal. And usually you don't get that kind of a news out of a spring game. So I thought it was a good sleepy spring game. It was kind of weird, all that construction noise in the background, not a big crowd. There really isn't a superstar on this team, and that's usually what brings out a big crowd, and it just didn't happen. But I thought it was a pretty cool Saturday afternoon, and Spencer Danielson has to be fairly excited about what he went through when it came to the spring camp this year.
And for the record, 45-27, the offense – they're eating the steak. They're eating the steak and the caviar. After that one, the nicer meal. I know they used to put the losing team got hot dogs, the winning team got steak one year, and then the nutritionist didn't like that too much, so they got rid of that. But I don't know if they had anything on the line or not. But the offense wins 45-27. 4 of their 5 touchdowns on the ground. And again, it was a 7-minute running clock quarter, so any of these numbers would certainly have been bigger over the course of a full 60-minute game. But in a modified, smaller scrimmage, 136 rushing yards, and that took away, about a 50-yard touchdown from Dylan Riley, which I'm still counting in terms of what we saw in terms of the excitement level. Dylan Riley scored a long touchdown that got called back due to a fairly obvious holding call, but still, nice run for Dylan Riley. He still finished with 2 touchdowns also, and it says 20 yards, but like I said, it was 60-70 compared if that touchdown wasn't taken off the board. Malik Sherrod, as he said, 65-yard rushing touchdown for him. He looked super impressive again. 76 rushing yards for Malik Sherrod in very limited 3 carries, I guess it was. Very limited action for him. And in the second half, when they did that red zone drill, Mike, and made the players live, a lot of the quote-unquote starters or key players weren't even out there in the third quarter. They'd already gotten rid of Madsen and Sherrod and some of those guys in the second half. So the quarterbacks did fine. They threw for 155 yards. We'll get to the backup quarterback battle here in a little bit, but I want to play a Spencer Danielson bite here in a second. But it seems like the running game, Mike Prater, and again, you're playing your defense. You have to be very cautious and careful with what you take away here. But I think what we thought the running game was still going to be pretty good this year. You think Sire Gaines is not Ashton Jeanty, but he is certainly going to be a capable running back that should get you over 1,000 yards if he's healthy next year. We all like Breezy Dubar and what he brings to the table. I think we all thought Dylan Riley had some potential and looked pretty good as a freshman. So I think we thought the running game was going to be fine after last season ended. Then they go get Malik Sherrod, and you're thinking, okay, another nice veteran piece, add it to the mix and see what happens. That's the biggest takeaway for me, Mike Prater, is you don't have Ashton Jeanty, and we're not trying to downplay Ashton Jeanty. It's a massive loss. We're not kidding ourselves here. We get it. But I still think this running back by committee, running however you want to put it together, the running game on Boise State's offense, I felt good about it going into spring. I feel even better about it seeing Malik Sherrod and leaving spring. I think this team is still going to be, even though Spencer Danielson says in the quote, they want to be 50-50 run pass, I still think this running game is going to be very strong and a very solid thing for Boise State to lean on this year.
Yeah, well said, and I agree completely. Although I disagreed a little bit with Spencer Danielson, not disagreeing with what he said because he knows his team and he knows what he wants to do. But I heard that comment over the weekend, 50-50. And last year, Boise State ran the ball 555 times and passed it 415 times. So that roughly means 50 less running attempts and about 50 more passing attempts. I'm worried about the passing game, and that's certainly one thing that came out of it for me. A little bit of Madsen. There's always going to be a little bit of concern with Madsen, although I think he's a good quarterback. He had a fantastic year, and I'm fully in support of him being the starting quarterback. But, with the passing game, I just want to see how that develops. And then having wide receiver 1, 2, and 3 out this past weekend with injuries, and all three of those guys have a history of just not being on the field all the time. So I'm curious in terms of Caples, Bolton, Marshall, and how they're going to develop in the fall camp and then certainly into the regular season. A couple of other nice weapons back there at wide receiver, but the strength of this football team is the running backs. And you just laid it out perfectly. Three or four running backs are going to be rock solid for this team this year. So I'm not sure at the end of the day they're going to get away from that 50-50 run thing. That's a big goal for a wide receiver group that really hasn't proven a lot right now. But we have a lot of time. We'll see what happens. And hopefully those 3 top wide receivers get healthy. Hopefully Maddox Madsen has a magical year without Dirk Cutter, without Ashton Jeanty. I know he's got some new coaches bringing in some new wrinkles. So there's some kind of excitement there. But yeah, the dynamics of this offense is still very much to be determined, if you ask me, BJ.
And you say a lot of time in the short term. I can't help but I'm turning into Mike Prater with my kind of cynical, negative thinking here.
Nice.
The transfer portal closes on Friday, and nothing is ever said at this point. But if you're a Breezy Dubar or if you're a Dylan Riley or one of these younger guys, and all of a sudden you saw what Malik Sherrod did this spring, and you also know what Sire Gaines is going to do and where he fits. I guess my initial first quick thought is I just hope when Saturday morning rolls in that the running back group is still the running back group we think it is. I think Friday night at midnight or whatever it is, the transfer portal closes. So we really can't have this full conversation, I guess, Mike, until next Monday. But if all those guys stay, which there's no indication they won't, you just never know with playing time. And I do think Sherrod's emergence might make a Breezy Dubar think about things. I don't know. A Dylan Riley's still a young kid, but he obviously showed that he probably deserves to have a role out there. So putting all that into the mix, that nothing is set. I do really like this group if they can keep it all together. Julian says Malik Sherrod, Pocket Rocket. That's his new name. Sky Ship saying Malik was an absolute burner every time we played him at Fresno. Great pickup from Coach Montgomery. And I remember, Mike, when you and I both kind of heard behind the scenes, wow, Malik Sherrod's coming in for a visit. Oh, they're going to probably get this kid. It was I had to kind of take a double take, like, why would Malik Sherrod come here? Like running back? Like they got Gaines and Dubar, and they're pretty solid at running back. And I know that it was supposed to be a big emphasis on special teams. He will be the kick and punt returner, which could play massive dividends. But what he did at running back with Gaines out, he took a massive advantage of that, and I think he helped himself into a huge role at running back this fall.
Yeah, if the season started today, he'd be RB1, and it wouldn't even be close. And with a nice compliment from Breezy Dubar and Dylan. So, the running back room is fine. And I was like you yesterday, and I woke up again this morning. I didn't have my phone very much yesterday, but I kept thinking the transfer portal. And then you wake up this morning and you just kind of pause for about 3 seconds before you look at your phone thinking, who's going to be in the transfer portal? So far, so good. Yeah, you do have to get through the rest of this week, but I fully expected a couple of players to jump in the transfer portal. I didn't know if they were going to be running backs or 4-string, long snappers. I didn't know, but it just seems like in this day and age and the momentum with the transfer portal right now at Boise State, they've lost a lot of players over these last 10 days, but so far so good. Fingers crossed, and hopefully we can get through the rest of this week without any kind of problems with that transfer portal.
Let's hear Spencer Danielson after the scrimmage talking about that strong running game.
That's a huge part of, first off, what we do offensively. And I've had questions asked to me, with Ashton not here, does that mean you guys are going to be drastically different? We won't be. Obviously, it's our offense and our defense and our special teams is going to be directly correlated to the players we have, BJ. But we are going to run the football. I believe in that. As an offense, I believe in that as a team. The more you can run the football against an opposing defense, you wear them out. And that opens up the pass game. We want to be 50-50 balance this year, run to pass. And I'm proud of our guys stepping up. We're going to have the players to do it. In our offensive line, and our tight ends, our receivers to make the blocks, and then our running backs to make plays. You guys saw Malik Sherrod a little bit today. You guys have seen him sometimes in practice throughout spring. He's an explosive player. And he's even going to be a more explosive player on punt return and kickoff return. So very excited where he's at. Obviously not having Sire out there is a huge part of our offense, right? He is relentless to continue to get healthy, and he will be healthy going into the summertime. We don't see any issue with that. But Dylan Riley's had a really good spring. And what is sometimes overlooked, he's had a great spring offensively. He's going to be an impact player for us on our special teams unit too. And so a true freshman going into his sophomore year, he stepped up a lot. And so really cool to see those guys continue to elevate themselves. So we're gonna have what it takes to run the football. And that's a huge point of our entire team. Yeah, we need to be an explosive offense, right? And on the flip side, defensively, the goal is to eliminate explosive plays. Offensively, we have to create explosives. And when you have the weapons we have, especially in the running back room, we're going to find a way to make that happen. We're going to have packages this year where we put 2 running backs in the game. That's happening because we've got explosive players in our backfield. And seeing the iron sharpen iron, we go into summertime, you put Cy back in the mix. I mean, there's going to be competition through the roof for those reps, for those plays, and we've got the guys to do it. So very excited about that. Yeah, we'll find out. I mean, once again, I think we got some really good running backs, though. And Ashton Jeanty, I mean, you're going to take anything away from him. And I'm not saying that, I'm not comparing Ashton to who we have on our team right now. But we are going to run the football. And in regards to stopping the run defensively, if you are playing an offense that creates the shifts, the motions, the formations that our offense does, there's only so many defensive coverages you can use to stop the run with the sets we're giving a defense. We're making them show their hand. And so, yes, Ashton Jeanty made 11 guys, even the post safety, have to make sure we make a tackle. We got to go earn that, right? I promise you game 1, they're probably not going to honor us the way teams did last season because Ashton, for sure. But I'm going to turn the heat up on our guys and make sure you earn the right to make teams put 11 dudes in the box. And then when they do that, Maddox Madsen and our receiving core and tight ends, they're going to make people pay. But we got to go earn the right to do that.
Couple things from that, Mike, and that's Spencer Danielson talking after the scrimmage on Saturday. Some good nuggets in there. You're right about the 50-50 thing because he's talking about if you would have heard him just say that, we're going to run the ball, we want to be 50-50, you would have thought that they maybe passed it 80% of the time last year. It was kind of a backwards thinking there. We're going to run the ball, but we got to be 50-50. That does seem a little odd. I like hearing the 2 backs together. He said you're going to see some sets where you get 2 backs together, and we've heard a lot about that in the past, but just because of injuries and things, they've never really done a lot of that around here. It was always the dream of Jeanty and Helani out there together and all this stuff, and it just never happened because one or the other was usually hurt. But I think that could be intriguing, and maybe that's a way they're trying to tell Dubar and Riley and these guys not to transfer because, we're going to get 2 running backs out there together. We're going to get all you guys, all these snaps in action. You want to be a part of this. It's going to be a team effort here and all this kind of stuff. I don't know. But, I mean, he said it multiple times there that this is going to be a team that's obviously going to run the football. And the last question there was about, teams now all of a sudden not worrying as much about the running game. Is that going to make it harder in the passing game? If teams are, maybe not doing what they did last year where they had 10, 11 guys in the box. And he's like, they're we're going to have to prove it. Jeanty's gone. They are going to probably, scheme us a little differently defensively, but we're confident in who we have and we'll see what happens. So I don't know if, what did Jeanty finish with, Mike? 26-01. 26-01. Okay. I mean, maybe that's more of a fun game to play in terms of do the other 4 guys together get to 26-01. But I do, I do think that, they're not Ashton Jeanty individually, but as a group, I think they're more than good enough to get them where they want to go this year.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, especially with the offensive line. And I think this offensive line is going to be really rock solid. And they played 3 offensive lines on Saturday. They kind of had a core group of 3, and they kind of rotated those 3 offensive linemen in. They have 19 offensive linemen on this team, and I think that they feel comfortable with 13, 14, 15 of them in pretty good shape. And, I think they've got some nice backups. I got some nice depth. I'm worried about the depth on this football team, except for running back and offensive line. They got plenty of depth at running back. They got plenty of depth at offensive line. They've got experienced and proven guys at the offensive line. So it's when he says 50-50, you're right. And then he comes back and talks about all of the other things. Even going back to Jeanty and Helani, they ran the ball 562 times and passed it only 372. They actually ran the ball 5 times less last year than they did the previous year with Jeanty and Helani combined. The gap between pass and run 2 years ago was massive. The gap between pass and run last year closed a little bit, but it's still pretty dang massive. So I think with the loss of Jeanty, the loss of some of that play action, and Maddox Madsen still growing as a passer, I'd be shocked if this football team, at least early on in the season, maybe the first month of the season, wasn't more 60-40 when it came to the run pass. But ultimately, that's what Spencer wants, 50-50, and we'll see where that ends up.
Speaking of pass, let's talk about the battle for the backup quarterback here in just a second. But first, I want to tell you about our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. Andy Rowe and Company are ready to help you out all your painting needs, whether it's those concrete coatings, interior, exterior painting. Hit up our title sponsor, Rowe Paint, at rowpaint.com. TacoBellWorks.com, the SON Management Group, the Nicolason family. If you're looking for a job, Taco Bell is hiring. They have great promotional opportunities, free food while you work, half your wages the next day after your shift. And, oh, yeah, the food's pretty darn good as well. Those Cantina bowls, all the Lux Cravings boxes. Get more information, SON Management Group, the Nicolason family. We appreciate them. Online at TacoBellWorks.com or just visit a local Treasure Valley Taco Bell location. Hey, Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. There's a branch pretty much on every corner, but the easiest is that mobile e-branch online banking right there in your smartphone. Hit them up, Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Hey, Snake River Pool and Spa, Patio and Game, thespateam.com. Whether you're looking for a sauna, a spa, a pool table for the game room, they got you covered at Snake River Pool and Spa, Patio and Game. Locations in Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. They're part of the Boise State home team. They've been around since 1978. You can get more information online at thespateam.com. We mentioned this being a blue and orange store Monday here. Get to that clearance rack, best value in town. The clearance rack at the front of the blue and orange store. All kinds of hats, jerseys, bumper stickers, car flags. If you're a Boise State fan, you need to visit the blue and orange store. It's an entire store at the mall just selling Boise State stuff. It's awesome, and we appreciate them for their support. And if you can't get to the Boise Town Square Mall, you can order online anywhere in the world, and they got some great flash deals and daily deals online as well, online at the blue and orange store.com. Hey, Jackson's, by the way, Mike Prater, tonight, 7 o'clock, Ahmed Hassanin, live in person at the James for a special edition of the Riley and Ridge Show, NFL Draft Week. We're kicking it off. It's sponsored by Jackson's, so get your $5 meal deal, 2 hot dogs and a kettle chips, $5 at Jackson's, or get that 99-cent coffee at Jackson's. But Riley and Rid tonight, a live episode of the Riley and Rid Show presented by Jackson's. Ahmed Hassanin is going to be live at the James tonight. So if you want to go out to the James tonight, 7 o'clock, meet Ahmed Hassanin, wish him well in the NFL draft this week. That will be live at 7 o'clock tonight. If you cannot make it to the James, you can watch on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, like you do our normal Bronco Nation news broadcast. But live tonight on BNN, 7 o'clock, the Riley and Ridge Show, Ahmed Hassanin in person as their guest. That's going to be exciting. Looking forward to that as well. But the backup quarterback situation, Mike, that was a big storyline going into camp. I know Spencer came on your guys' show on Friday and said it's kind of wide open. It certainly looked like Caleb Annett was the clear leader in what we saw in the spring game, just based on reps, based on production. But then Spencer came back, as you'll hear in the clip, and basically said, no, it's still a battle here. What do you kind of make of the backup quarterback situation? Because as I've said, Mike, it's one of my biggest concerns right now on this team. Nothing against Caleb Annett, nothing against Max Cutforth, but I'm not sure you want either of them having to play real snaps in a real game this season, meaningful snaps, if Maddox Madsen were to go down with an injury. They may not have a choice. They may not be able to go get somebody. I wish they would, but nobody wants to come here and be the backup to Madsen. We've talked about it. They're just in a tough spot here. They have to pray Madsen's healthy. But the backup quarterback situation, maybe typically no one really cares. Oh, it's the backup quarterback. In this case, on this team with these goals, I think it's a massive story.
I think it's a massive story, too. I really do. And I wanted to address the transfer portal first. And I know a lot of people, Ball Game and I had this debate the other day. And I don't want a transfer portal quarterback. If your QB2 and your QB3 is so bad right now that you have to go off and get a QB4 out of the transfer portal, they've told us for 25 years that I've been covering Boise State football that it takes a year to learn the offense of this football team. You're going to bring somebody in June, and you want them to be ready to be the backup quarterback, or at least in the mix by July 28th when Boise State opens up fall camp. I don't see it. I guess you could bring one in for a camp arm, but they got a couple of local high school kids for camp arms. I don't think I need a transfer portal quarterback right now. I want all emphasis on the 2 backup quarterbacks that they have right now. And I don't want those guys looking over their shoulder. I want 100% attention on just trying to get better. So, again, the transfer portal idea for me when it comes to the quarterback is a bad idea. I didn't know that there was such a close competition until Friday when Spencer said on our show, I don't even know who the backup quarterback is right now. And then we certainly saw how Saturday played out statistically, optically, visually, and certainly based on the schemes and the snaps. It looked like Caleb Annett was the number 2 guy for me. Better arm, more production, more passes, more opportunities, higher percentage, more yards, all those boxes. Now, of course, Spencer Danielson's going to say the competition is tight because it probably is close enough, whether it's 55-45 or 60-40 or 50-50, whatever it is. This quarterback competition will have to continue in fall camp. So when we show up in the end of July for fall camp, keeping an eye on quarterback 2 is going to be massive. Nobody has complete and total confidence in Maddox Madsen to get through an entire season outside of maybe the Boise State football family itself. That's just not the way it works. So I'm with you, BJ. I'm very, very concerned. I just don't want to mess with a quarterback from the transfer portal. I think that would create a lot of, I don't know, tension's not the right word, but it's curiosity in the locker room. I just want these 2 dudes to go out and get better this summer.
Yeah, no doubt. And Caleb Annett, and this is nothing against Max Cutforth, but I mean, if you would have had to say it without knowing anything, you would have said it probably should be Caleb Annett. I mean, he's the scholar. You brought him in as the scholarship guy. He's all along been a scholarship guy. Max Cutforth started as a walk-on, has obviously impressed and worked his way up, but certainly their credentials and their rankings and all that coming out of high school, which I know doesn't mean everything. It's not the end of the world, but if you were just looking at that from afar and their paths, I mean, they recruited Caleb Annett to be more of a likely contributor than a Max Cutforth, coming out of high school. But give Max Cutforth credit. He's come in, earned a scholarship, and done some nice things, and we'll see what that battle and where it goes. Let's hear Spencer Danielson. By the way, Caleb Annett was 6 of 10 for 77 yards and a touchdown. He had the best numbers of any of the quarterbacks in the spring game. Here is Spencer Danielson on that battle for QB2.
Going into this game and had really good talks with Coach Hill, Coach Potter, offensive staff. Going into spring, Caleb Annett is extremely talented. He really is. Max Cutforth is very talented too, and he knew the playbook because as a third-string quarterback last year, he was able to be with the offense consistently. Caleb Annett was with scout team, learning a new offense weekly, depending who we're playing. And so that has been the biggest part that Caleb's had to make up ground this offseason, and he has. So right now he knows it really well, and I thought he did some really good things today. So we're going to go evaluate, Jay. Going into summertime, we're going to either make a decision on who our number 2 and our number 3 is, or we're going to go into summer saying, hey, we're still going to compete all the way up until fall camp, and we might even continue it going. But we will make a decision here. Might be this week, might be in the summertime. But I really am confident in both those young men. But just watching today, I think Caleb Annett played pretty well today, and a phenomenal young man.
So reading between the tea leaves there, obviously Caleb Annett what would seem to be the leader for QB2 right now, Mike.
Yeah, that's pretty strong. I had not heard that one yet, and because we were doing our post-game show when that stuff was going on, and I missed that clip. I had not heard that, so that's pretty powerful stuff right there. And there's no need. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell Spencer what to do, but there's no need to name a quarterback 2 right now. I don't even know if you need to do it going into fall camp. Keep the competition going. I'm assuming, unless he believes that the gap is bigger than maybe he's led us to believe. So if Caleb Annett really created that gap, then I guess you do that. But I think you can get into the fall camp and let these guys compete and do their thing and see what happens. But Caleb Annett, he might be the big winner of spring ball. And it kind of came out of nowhere. It really did. I mean, nobody was really talking about him. We all go to practice. I don't remember him standing out. I watched a lot of quarterbacks. You watched a lot of quarterbacks. And I thought it was pretty neck and neck and neck. And certainly Maddox Madsen has complete and total control of this offense. But Caleb Annett never really stood out. So when Spencer Danielson said on Friday, I don't know who my backup quarterback is right now going into the spring game, that caught me off guard a little bit. And here comes the big momentum. I think Caleb Annett might be your big winner. Caleb Annett and Jake Ripp and Malik Sherrod are your 3 superstars of spring camp.
I'd throw Cam Bates in there as well. And
fair, yes, Cam Bates.
And let's finish up the offensive talk here. Any kind of leftover offensive thoughts before we switch to the defense? Sky says, how's that Miles Walker, Ohio State offensive lineman transfer doing? He looks fine. I heard good things about him throughout the camp, but he was held out of the game for some reason, I believe, on Saturday. Mason Randolph, there was a little bit of concern with him. I guess he had a minor flare-up with something with the bicep. They decided to hold him out of the spring game and get something looked at or taken care of. He's supposed to be fine as well, so no issue there. Anything else offensively that stood out to you just from the Saturday, from the spring? Any final, let's put a bow on the offense and then switch to the defense.
No, I mean, I think the wide receiver group is going to be just fine. And Cam Bates, I think, is going to be a superstar. And there's a couple of other guys. They're going to be able to go 5, 6 deep, 7 deep. And Spencer did say, one of the two focuses that he's going to look at in terms of the transfer portal is a wide receiver and a defensive line. We can get to the defensive line here in a little bit, but the wide receiver, I'm not sure he needs to go chase down a wide receiver in the transfer portal. I like the 6 that I'm seeing. I guess if there's a junior college kid out there, you can find it. It seems like there's 3 or 4 good slot receivers on this football team. There really isn't a wide receiver with great size, with proven ability and sustainability when it comes to availability. So I'm a little bit worried about that. So I guess if you want to go off and get a certain type of wide receiver, but they don't need a wide receiver just to get a wide receiver. So I can't wait to see how that plays out.
Yeah, looking forward to the offense. I mean, I think Spencer Danielson said they are, by the way, looking for a wide receiver, a D lineman, and then also confirmed a best available player on defense, as he did say. So that at a minimum, they're looking to make 3 additions, 2 on the defensive side of the ball, a D lineman, and what he called the best available guy we can find on defense is someone that they're looking to add to fill a spot as well. But he didn't have an exact number. He was asked how many spots do you have to add, and he said he didn't have an exact number, but he knows for sure those 3. And then it just depends, I guess, if anybody else leaves this week, if that changes things again. All right, let's talk about that defense here in a minute. And I want to get to Ashton Jeanty talk as well. Lithia Ford of Boise, check them out online, lithiafordboise.com. View their full inventory of vehicles. They are doing great things down there at Boise State. You see the Ford logo plastered all over Albertson Stadium, and we appreciate their support of Bronco Nation News. They are providing the vehicle that Mike Prater is going to win for the hole-in-one at Timberstone Golf Course, hole 6 on May 30th. They're going to once again have a vehicle out there, and that's right there at the tee box. And if you get a hole-in-one, you get to drive it home that night. Pretty cool deal there. So we appreciate Jim Sturk, Lithia Ford of Boise. Hey, Matt Boucher Real Estate. When you buy or sell a home with Matt and his team, you get to meet everybody in the photo there. Tremendous customer service from Matt Boucher and his team. No home is too big or too small. And I know everybody has, 4 or 5 friends that are realtors, but if you really want someone that's going to fight for you, someone that has the experience, it was eye-opening for me kind of hearing some of the things Matt was talking about when we were looking to buy and sell our home. The guy really knows his stuff. He helped us get tremendous value and deals on both ends, our sale and our purchase price. So BoucherRealEstate.com. You will not be disappointed, and you're supporting, obviously, a Bronco in the process. Matt Boucher, Boucher Real Estate. Hey, Ridley's Family Markets, ShopRidleys.com. You want a hometown grocery store feel, friendly environment, welcoming staff when you walk in there, head to a Ridley's. They got one in Cuna, Middleton, Star, all over the state of Idaho, surrounding states. Download that Skip app. Get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line. Find a location near you at ShopRidleys.com. Hey, speaking of jobs, Transportation Compliance Service is hiring. Transcomservice.com. They can help you get into the trucking industry. Local company helping out folks all over the United States. If you're looking for a job, maybe consider a career in the trucking industry. Get more information at transcomservice.com. Leanfeastmeridian.com. Leanfeastmeridian.com. If you want to eat healthy, but also just have the convenience of having your cooking done for you, the meal prep, it's just done. It's right there in your refrigerator. You pop it in the microwave and you're good to go. Leanfeastmeridian.com, 10,000 plus combinations. They're feeding the football team. They're feeding the basketball team. They can feed you as well. Leanfeastmeridian.com. And don't forget, we're taking your voicemails, speakpipe.com/BNN. Leave us a voicemail on the Signature Roofing a voice inbox. We'll play it on an upcoming show, and it's brought to you by Signature Roofing, covering our community for more than 2 decades at mysignatureroofing.com. Whether it's a repair, a re-roof, an estimate, and inspection, all your roofing needs, hit up our roofing sponsor, Signature Roofing, online at mysignatureroofing.com. All right, defensively, the big story has kind of been Jake Ripp. He was going to move to edge, and then all of a sudden, and that was the big story a couple weeks ago, and then all of a sudden Andrew Simpson leaves, and they move him back to inside linebacker. He had 2 sacks, even at linebacker, 9 lost yards there. Played, made some plays, and I know quote unquote sacks in the spring game, Mike Prater, are a little, debatable at times, but Jake Ripp credited with 2 sacks, and has been one of the storylines defensively of spring camp, as I said as well, and he had a nice spring game yesterday.
I love what Jake Ripp is doing, and that dude is he's everywhere. And he might become one of those players where he's on the field 100% of the time when it comes to this defense, just very active and roaming around. And they could probably put him in a lot of different positions. So I know experimenting with getting him closer to the line of scrimmage and keeping him back as one of the inside, weak side linebackers, that's good experience for him. And he's so active and so good. And we had a chance to kind of watch him and get to know him this spring ball. I think he's going to be fun. So he might be one of those kind of hybrid dudes where you really don't put a label on him. You don't put a position on him, and you just let him out there. They have this mantra down there, as you know, the best 11, and he might be number 1 and 2. I mean, he is so active and so good at what he does. He might be able to take up 2 positions. So I don't know if he can ever become a dominant player, like an NFL type of a player. We'll see how his career continues to develop. But I love his activity. I love the way he's busy. I love the way he's creative on the football field and finding all kinds of open spaces. I love everything about Jake Ripp. So he's going to be one hell of a football player for Boise State.
Here's Spencer Danielson on Jake Ripp after the spring game.
Proud of the spring Jake Ripp has had. You talk about a guy that is all about the team. Started this offseason, we were focused on him playing on the edge, playing our stud outside linebacker position, which he played really well to start spring ball. And then we started putting him at some inside linebacker at our will spot. So he can do both. I know going into this summer, we're going to continue. This next week is a ton of self-scout for us too. We've been talking about our entire team and really where we're going to package-wise defensively. But right now, speaking to you guys, I think he's going to be primarily an inside linebacker. That he's been able to show that he can do it. And obviously we can get in a lot of different front structures to where he can still rush on an edge as a will. Inside linebacker. So really excited about Jake Ripp spring. He is going to be one of our top players on defense. And so now we got to figure out package-wise how we make that work. Thanks. But I see him, I want to make sure I'm clear, I see him playing inside linebacker this year for us.
Thanks.
One of the top players on defense. That's a strong statement right there.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, he might not be dominating, but he's going to be a very valuable Swiss Army knife kind of tool, very active, and he's just going to create plays based on just his buzz factor, just the way he's kind of like a bee out there, just running around and just all kinds of crazy busy. So I love the way he plays football.
Anything else defensively stand out to you either from Saturday or from the spring as a whole when you think about the defensive group? And obviously that D-line you talked about, it's certainly going to have to address that. Just not a lot of experience, not a lot of depth there either. We'll see if they go for 1, 2, who knows how many guys in the portal there to try to find some late additions to help beef things up. I mean, they were already thin and then lost Feely. You do feel pretty good about No Triani and Ripp and that combo there at linebacker. And then, we didn't see a ton of them because some of the guys were out injured. I know McCoy didn't play in the spring game, but that McCoy-Irby Banks tandem, and then you throw in Benefield and Washington. I think you feel pretty good about that back 5 in the secondary there.
I feel great about it, but I also am very concerned about depth. And I don't want to go through hyperbole here, but I think depth-wise, this is one of the thinnest Boise State defenses that I remember in a long time. I mean, find me a credible backup anywhere on this defense right now. It's kind of scary in terms of, the 2 edge positions. There's not a lot of, there's kind of like 1.5 because Steege still has to kind of prove it. They're still dealing with the interior part of the defensive line. There's not any depth at all. I mean, there's a little bit of depth with Martin and Martineau on the linebacker spot, but those guys kind of scare me a little bit. And the safeties and the cornerbacks and then nickel, there's some really good ones across the board starting wise, but there's not a lot of depth on any of those positions. So the depth on this defense is really concerning to me. There's probably not much you can do about right now, because if you bring in a couple of transfer portal guys, you kind of a hit and miss. And I know they're going to go after a defensive lineman, and you can probably plug and play a defensive lineman if he's good enough at this point. But, you're kind of stuck with who you have. There's going to be some players who are going to rise. There's going to be some players who are developing, and there's going to be some players who provide some kind of depth. But I think this is one of the thinnest defensive groups that I've seen at Boise State in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, they've got some names, some guys you like a Franklin Johnson Jr. We just haven't seen him out there playing. So there are some intriguing, I guess, guys you're excited about, but you're just not sure they're ready to have to take over a starting spot if something were to happen. So I've mentioned the depth as well. I totally agree, Mike. That's a big issue for this defense, and I'm still curious, kind of scheme wise. They did a lot of blitzing from the secondary and things like that, and a lot of that was because of how unique a guy like Alexander Tubner was. I just kind of wonder if they're going to be able to try to attack the quarterback and pressure in the same ways they did last year.
Yeah, I mean, who's it going to be? I mean, seriously, who's it going to be? Your guy, Jaden Virgin Morgan, should have double-digit sacks. I can see Jake Ripp getting after it a little bit. I don't see a lot of other guys. You're going to want to maybe bring – I don't know if you want to bring a Benefield down because he can be a physical dude. So, Chenander loves to blitz, and what they were number 1 in the nation or whatever it was they were last year with 50 sacks or whatever the number was.
55, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, very productive and very, very good at what they were doing when it came to the sacks. And Chenander's not going to change his scheme. He's not going to change his philosophy. You just have to wonder if there's enough guys that can come at you and wave 3, 4, 5, 6 different guys. That was the beauty of last year. There was a couple of leaders when it came to sacks, but how many different dudes got sacks last year? It was double digits, I think. If it was 10, 12, 15 guys got sacks last year, maybe it's that kind of effort again this year. And that's okay. That's perfectly okay. But right now, you do have to wonder about where the sack production is going to come from with this football team.
Well, one thing we don't have to wonder is whether or not our man Ashton Jeanty is going to get picked on Thursday night, or how long he is going to have to wait. Excited for Thursday. Bronco Nation News heading to Green Bay tomorrow. We will be there on the ground tomorrow afternoon. Live reports, shows all day Wednesday, all day Thursday. I'm going to join your guys' show Thursday from the draft. Bronco Nation News, I believe, the only local media outlet heading to Green Bay to cover the draft. So when you're thinking about renewing that subscription or telling your friends, please consider Bronco Nation News. We are the only local outlet, I believe, heading to Green Bay to cover the draft here, and we're going to have full coverage the next 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday, of Ashton Jeanty. He'll do some media availability. We will interview him on Wednesday. We'll be talking to some NFL draft analysts on Wednesday, and all kinds of interviews scheduled there on the ground at the draft on Wednesday. And then obviously Thursday we'll be there as well all day getting set for the draft on Thursday night. As I mentioned, I'll be live with Johnny and Prater on Idaho Sports Talk on Thursday, and excited for this, Mike. Historic day for Ashton Jeanty, historic day for Boise State. If he can go 11th or higher, which now pretty much seems like a formality, a lock, he's going to become the highest player ever drafted from Boise State. And Bronco Nation News excited to be there. And Mike, now you're hearing this morning, I mean, it really sounds like everybody thought the Raiders at 6 were a lock. He may not get to the Raiders at 6 now. I mean, you saw Dane Brugler from The Athletic. His official final mock projection has Jacksonville Jaguars at number 5, taking Ashton Jeanty. He says no one's talking about that connection, but he'd be the single biggest impact player that would help Jacksonville Jaguars if they were to take Ashton Jeanty. And you're now hearing a lot of other teams, whether it's the Cowboys, the Broncos, the Bears, potentially wanting to trade up in front of the Raiders to get him at number 5 as well. A lot of buzz this morning, and this stuff changes by the hour, changes by the day. But if yesterday it seemed like the Raiders at 6 were a lock, it's starting to think like he may go even higher than that, Mike Prater.
Yeah, the narrative is fantastic, and it happens every year. It just hasn't happened with the superstar from Boise State, and I don't believe a lot of what I see or read this time of year. It's kind of silly season, lying season, deceitful season, and people are leaking all kinds of information just based on trying to protect their assets, trying to protect their dudes. But, I think you could take the collective noise that you're hearing about Ashton Jeanty and put it into a bag and say, okay, something may happen. You can even throw the Patriots. I saw some serious Patriots love here at number 4. I think 1, 2, and 3, you can cross that off the board. The Titans, the Browns, and the Giants are not going to chase Ashton Jeanty based on what you read. But then when it becomes number 4, the Patriots, are they going to get him? Jacksonville, like you said, the Raiders, numbers, or somebody trading up to number 3 or not 3, probably 4 or 5 at the highest. We'll see how that plays out. I think it's fascinating right now. And if I had to take the field, if I had to take either the Raiders or the field at this point, I think I'm taking the field just because there's so much noise and so many things going on with Ashton Jeanty. But what a cool experience for you. What a great deal for Bronco Nation News. I love that you have this kind of commitment to chasing the Boise State news, and it's going to be a fantastic week. There is not a bad ending to this week, and that's the cool thing about Ashton Jeanty in the draft. You go into a football game, you go into a Fiesta Bowl, you go into an NCAA basketball tournament, and at the end of the day, there might be something bad happen. Nothing bad is going to happen this week. It's the foolproof, great story of the year for Boise State football fans. Ashton Jeanty, this isn't going to be like one of those Jay Ajayi things where you sit and squirm for 2 days worrying about why he's not going or where he's going and the angst. And there's been so many Boise State draft stories that have kind of led you to some anxiety and some angst. Ain't happening, guys. Enjoy this week because it's going to have this perfect, beautiful, wonderful ending. We just don't know what that ending is right now.
Yeah, it's going the complete opposite of how it usually goes. He's trending up at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
and if he, you're totally right. And if he were to get in the top 5 and to say Boise State football is a top 5 NFL draft pick, I mean, it would just be massive for this program, this city, obviously for Ashton. I do want to throw in a programming note, Mike, just due to my travel schedule the next couple of days as well. The shows and the times will be a little wonky. Tomorrow we will have a show at 9 a.m., but I believe it's going to be Jay Tust running point on that one. I believe Michael Callahan is going to jump on, maybe Brad Bedell. They might even try to get an Alexander Tubner or one of these guys trying to get drafted to jump on tomorrow. So we will have a show at 9 a.m. tomorrow, but I will not be on it. My flight leaves at 7:45, so I just cannot make tomorrow work. But Wednesday, again, right during showtime is when I'm supposed to be interviewing Ashton Jeanty. So we will have some sort of live show at some point on Wednesday. I just don't know when. We should be fine Thursday to do it at 9 a.m. Local time. Johnny Ballgame will be my Thursday guest. I know he was super excited when he realized his day was on draft day. And then Friday, again, I'm scheduled to fly back. If you don't leave at a certain time, there's just horrible flight options coming back on Friday. So I could not make it work to stay and do a show. So Friday also might have some Mike Prater involvement, some Johnny Ballgame, some Tust. I'm not sure yet, but we will try to have live shows. There will be one tomorrow. It just won't have me on it, which maybe will be better for you guys. You'll be happy. You can watch a live show without me. Same for Friday. Friday morning, we will have a show. I just may not be a part of it. And then we're trying to figure out Wednesday what time I can do a show. Because like I said, there's just a lot of interviews and media availability Wednesday. But we will just be a little flexible, be checking it. You may miss it live and have to watch it on replay. But we will have wall-to-wall live shows, videos, all kinds of stuff. Check our social media. We're going to get as much video. We want the whole goal, Mike, is whenever I do these kinds of trips, just to make Bronco Nation and the fans feel like they're at the draft with Ashton Jeanty. So as many videos, as many photos, as much stuff as I can throw on social media, I'm going to try to do. And, like I said, we'll hear from Ashton himself and some other folks there. And we're just going to try to show you the scene of Lambeau Field, show you the draft stage on Wednesday, try to just show everybody as much as we can. So it feels like you're a part of this with Ashton and with, the NFL draft world for what should be a historic day. So thankful for all of our advertisers for making this possible. Thankful to all of our paying subscribers for making this possible. And hopefully the next couple of days we can give you NFL draft coverage that Ashton deserves and that Bronco Nation deserves Wednesday and Thursday all day from Green Bay. But like I said, I'm traveling tomorrow, so maybe a little wonky with the show tomorrow. But I think Jay Tust is going to be able to run point and man things. I don't love the thought of Johnny and Tust together. That could go off the rails. So Friday, I may need to have you save things, Mike. We'll figure that out. But Jay is going to help us out and step up a little bit. So we appreciate that. And you guys might as well. And I know you guys will be all over draft day on Thursday as well, right? All week, but certainly Thursday. You guys will have the best Ashton Jeanty pregame draft show there is, going right into the draft and maybe during the draft. So it's going to be a fun week for all of us in the media and fans and everybody, Mike.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it. I appreciate it when you got to go to Dallas and bring us all kinds of coverage when Leighton Vander Esch got drafted in Dallas. And that turned out to be a perfect storm, and it was really cool. The Bronco Nation News was down there for that. So, again, good job for you to keep that committed. You'll be on our show Wednesday. We're going to switch your usual show from Friday to Wednesday. We're going to try to sneak you on Thursday, too. We'll just kind of see how Thursday plays out in terms of the chaos. We're kicking off our coverage today, and, the one name that we've heard for the last year, the one comp name that we keep hearing about Ashton Jeanty is Maurice Jones-Drew, and he's going to join us live on Idaho Sports Talk today to talk about Ashton Jeanty and the comp. We're going to get Khalil Shakir on later this week as well, I think tomorrow or Wednesday, talking about his draft day experience and doing some stuff with that guy for the next couple of weeks and having some fun with him. So you've got some big plans here at Idaho Sports Talk. We got some big plans, including hooking up with you and Bronco Nation News. So this is a historic week. This is a big old-time week. Even a big old fat sports writer woke up this morning on a Monday morning after doing 17 hours of yard work over this weekend, feeling pretty damn good, pretty damn spry, and a lot of juice in my step because it's draft week, and it's a draft week around here that we've never, ever experienced before. This is going to be a fun one. Nobody should have any kind of issues with this week whatsoever. This is just the kind of week you can enjoy the celebration of Ashton Jeanty, enjoy the celebration of Boise State football.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I can probably send you guys back some Ashton Jeanty audio that you can play Wednesday as well. We'll tag team this with KTIK and BNN here the best we can the next couple of days. Thanks again to our sponsors. Thanks again to our advertisers. Thanks to everybody for watching the show today. Mike, appreciate you as well. And should be a fun week. By the way, we're past time, so we can't talk about it, but I want to throw another plug in for your column, the 12 storylines. I know that was a fun one for you to write, and obviously Ashton's going to add his name to the list. But go back and read Mike Prater's column, the 12 biggest headlines in Boise State sports history, and we'll see where Ashton Jeanty is. If he goes top 5, I don't know if there's a spoiler or not, but I mean, I don't know if that passes the Fiesta Bowl, but is that number 1, or where does it? If he goes top 5 in the NFL draft, that's got to be top 2 or 3.
Yeah, well, definitely. I'm going to keep the Fiesta Bowl. I think that's the standard, and that's always going to be the biggest storyline of Boise State. Coming off this year, and we've talked about this over the last couple of weeks, the 38 wins between football and basketball this year, the most ever in school history combined. So that's kind of where that kind of led in terms of Tyson and number 2 and Ashton and number 2. And all of a sudden, here comes Ashton Jeanty to create this final headline of the season in terms of the NFL draft and as high as he goes. So I think it's been cool. It's probably been one of the most exciting, best athletic seasons in the history of Boise State, and what a perfect way to celebrate it this week.
So go read that at BroncoNationNews.com if you are a paying subscriber. Be listening at 3 o'clock today to Idaho Sports Talk. And again, BNN, 7 o'clock tonight, full day here on the local airwaves. 7 o'clock, Ahmed Hassanin will be live at the James with Kent Riddle and Riley Smith. If you want to go meet Ahmed, wish him luck in the draft, have a cocktail, sit out on the patio tonight at the James. That'll be 7 o'clock tonight. Riley and Rid and Ahmed Hassanin live at the James on BNN. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you guys later. I'm off to Green Bay tomorrow morning. Full coverage coming the next couple of days. Looking forward to it. Mike, appreciate you as always. Bronco Nation News, the spring game in the books, but a big week for Ashton Jeanty and the Broncos. We'll have you covered. KTIK and Bronco Nation News and BroncoNationNews.com.
Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, RowPaint.com. Our major sponsors, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, Lithia Ford, the Blue and Orange Store, Jackson's, and our contributing sponsors, Signature Roofing, Western Collective, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Boucher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and Timberstone Golf Course.